All right, so I'm calling this the video for day 12, 13, and 14 for Project Farmhouse. The guys came last week, and basically I was able to get the well up to 50 PSI, but I still had the leak. But I was like, you know what? Before it gets super cold, let's pressure wash the floor. Let's get as much grease and grime out off the floor as possible so we can see what's going on, because it's going to need a second cleaning. I knew it was. And then on top of that, we wanted to finish the drywall, the rigid foam insulation on the bottom. So we installed a curb, and actually behind here is the corrugated exterior walls, and so it's ribbed, right? So every inch or so you have a hole going down, and it goes down outside. There was actually weeds growing up through that. So what they did was they spray foamed it, each and every hole. They spray foamed each and every corrugated hole, shoved some steel wool in there, some grade 3 steel wool, and then foamed over top of it. And the reason why we did that was, you know, we didn't want weeds coming through, and we don't want mice getting into the pole barn. So this is what I'm talking about. So see these ridges right here? See, I was worried that the mice could, if this metal is bent, right, and they could potentially get up in through here, and I didn't want that. And part of that, part of this is buried, I think, too. So anyway, I didn't inspect it. I didn't see if there was any big holes. But here, like, you can see spray foam shot out of this one right here, right? So there's a hole. The mouse could have easily probably fit through that hole. So like I said, they shot spray foam into it to make sure nothing's getting into the building. I was just really paranoid about, because I definitely had rodents in here. See all those spray foam that came through right there? If that metal's bent, rodents were getting in through that. But I'll come and knock that down later. I'm not worried about that. It'll maybe even fall off on its own over time. So they spray foamed that bottom 6 inches and put some steel wool in between. So if a rodent does chew through the foam, they'll eventually hit the steel wool, and rodents don't like steel wool. But you can see I still got some pretty big stains on the floor. So the regular degreaser wasn't doing it. So I bought this heavy duty stuff, and I have 5 gallons of it coming too. This is an oil and stain remover. Basically, you set it on the ground, let it dry overnight, and then it's hard to see, but there's a spot right there. Look how clean that is now. See how clean that part is? I just put a spot test right there. So that's gonna have to go across the whole floor. So I'm gonna have to pour it on, sweep it in, let it sit, and then you can scrape it off, sweep it off, and even pressure wash it off. But if I can get the floor to look like that, right? That was in the middle of a pretty big stained area. So if I can get the floor to look like that, I'll be golden. I'll be happy with that. But you can see I got a really big stain. See how big that stain is? Look how massive it is. And it's probably even a little worse right there, you know? I put a little here, but the broom that I went to go sweep it with was wet, so you can't see, but even right there is better. That's where it was. So I did 2 little tests. Anyway, we'll have to pressure wash the floor again. But we did a curb all the way across the bottom, and we put insulation in there. And the reason why we did that is because we're going to use regular insulation over top here, and I didn't want the regular insulation touching the concrete. So the rigid foam insulation will protect it. But now I can return. I got 4 sheets of excess insulation. I'll return that. You know, we'll probably insulate the garage doors as well. But we're gonna take a break from the farmhouse, from the pole barn. We're gonna take a break from the pole barn, and those guys are actually gonna start working on cleaning out the house now. Our goal is just to try to get rid of all the trash. Just keep getting rid of trash, get rid of trash, get rid of trash. There's so much stuff in there. So, and then we'll come back and we'll start throwing stuff away here. We'll maybe start organizing this a little bit, but I still have to pull the permit for the electrical. So basically we're gonna start on the inside of the house. While those guys are cleaning things out, I'll work on the plumbing. Maybe we'll get a half a bathroom done first, and then I'll be able to test my septic system and see if it's working. So I'll start digging out the septic, and I'll get it pumped out so I can do an inspection on it. And we'll start taking a look at that before it gets super cold, you know? But that's my plan. I'm gonna start working on the inside of the house now, and we're gonna just keep on getting rid of trash. So yeah, so there's a 3-day update for Project Farmhouse for day 12, 13, and 14.